everybody, happy Monday. Hope you're having an awesome week so far. Wanted to do a live video real quick for you. This is I don't know what is going on with my face. It's like bruised right there, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. But this is a conversation. I think I've had this conversation probably about 4 or 5 times with someone over the last 2.5, 3 weeks, and it came up again today. And so I figured if we're having this conversation with this many people, it's probably something a lot of people need to hear. So I'm sure you saw the title, and it was all about the one word that everyone needs to be better about using. And I feel like the issue we have with using this word stems from society, and it's got this huge negative stigma around this word. And technically it's a negative word, but that's okay. You're allowed to use negative words. But there's this whole stigma where it's like you have to be able to do everything all at once. And if someone asks you, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? You'd be like, yes, yes, yes. And even if you can't, you're like, I got to figure out a way to get it done, because that's going to be what makes me successful. That's what's going to give me that promotion. That's what's going to whatever, you know. And I think a lot of us just forget that it's okay to say the word no. You are allowed to use the word no. You need to use the word no, and you should use the word no. You should use it when you're too busy to really do something and give it the full attention that you could and that it deserves. You should use the word no when someone is not respecting your boundaries. You should use the word no when you quite frankly just don't want to do something. And side note, if someone gets offended by you saying the word no, that is nothing to do with you. That is everything to do with them and how they received it. They chose to receive it that way. They chose to be offended by that. They chose to be hurt by that. So, for example, I have some wonderful people in my life who are so sweet and have the biggest hearts in the world. But they tend to just allow people to not necessarily walk all over them, but people know that they won't say the word no, that they will do everything they can to help them. And I see it time and time again. It just drains them, it exhausts them, it emotionally just kills them. And I'm like, why did you tell them you would? Why did you say yes? Why did you not say the word no? And a lot of times it's like, well, I just can't be mean. And I'm like, listen, I understand that, and I love that you want to be nice to everybody and you want to help everybody, but you can't. Like, if you aren't filling up your own cup first, you're not going to be able to fill up anyone else's, period. And sometimes that requires using the word no. If it's putting you in a bad spot financially, if it's putting you in a bad spot as far as level of amount of crap going on, if it's putting you in a bad spot emotionally, like, you shouldn't have said the word yes, ever. The word no is perfectly acceptable. And the cool thing about the word no, too, is you don't have to give them a reason why. It's just no, simple, one, N-O, period. You don't have to say anything else. And I think a lot of people feel like if you say the word no, you've got to have a reason, you've got to have an excuse, and you have to have something that makes sense to the other person. Not true. Like, if someone invites you to go to a party, and it's not a party you want to go to because you're really don't care to go, you don't really like the person that much, you don't like the people that are going to be there that much, say no. And just leave it at like, hey, thanks, but no thanks, period. That's a polite way to say it. There's no explanation needed. And if they ask you for an explanation, just be like, you know what, honestly, I prefer not to give you one, but I can't. And if they try to push you for it, they're not the right person. Delete them, block them, just tell them, like, listen, I said no. No means no. I don't need to give you an explanation. I'm sorry if you feel that I do, but I don't. This is just me doing things that I need and want to do for myself. Period. Leave it at that. And people just get so offended when someone's like, I don't want to, I don't think so, I don't like that. It's, hello, we're humans. We are all different. We don't all like the same things. We're allowed to think that something's fun, but the other person doesn't like it at all. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. But say no. Like, we get so overwhelmed these days with everyone else's issues and problems, and it's not a bad thing, like I said, guys, to be concerned for other people, to try to help other people, but you've got to take care of you first, because if you don't take care of you, you've got nothing left to give everybody else. You've got to say no to people when you are at your limits, when you are at your max. And part of knowing when to say no is knowing what your max and limits are. Like I said, if it puts you in a bad spot financially, if it's completely emotionally draining and exhausting to you, if it doesn't make you feel good, don't do it. Period. Just don't, because if you're not happy, if you're not able to pay your bills, if you're not able to, sorry, I just got a weird text from work. If you're not able to do things that make you happy, if you're not able to bring joy to yourself through whatever this thing is, don't do it. And sometimes you do things because you don't want to do necessarily. You've got to take judgment calls on it, but only do them if it's not pushing you over your limits. So learn the word no. If you're not good at using it, start small. If someone asks you, hey, can I borrow $1? Sorry, no. If you can't do it, hey, can I have a drink of that? No. And that one, just to be really honest, that's an easy one for me. Is like, can I have some of your food? No. I like my food. I will protect my food with a sword. But just start small and work your way bigger. But it's super important. You've got to learn this. The skill is really what it is. It's a skill to be able to let people down easily, to say no tactfully. Like I said, once again, you don't have to be a cold hard bitch about it. Like, saying no doesn't make you an asshole. It makes you smart. It makes you, you know your limits. It's a good thing to be able to say no. But learn it, use it wisely, and it'll help you a lot. All this saying yes is just going to completely exhaust you and wear you down. Like, people aren't going to stop asking for stuff unless they learn that, hey, you have limits. They will always be there. Like, that's one of the things that drives me nuts is like, well, let me just help them this one time and they'll be fine. No, that's not how this works, because you and dude, if I find out I can get, like, freaking, for example, if I get energy from a 5-hour because it's telling me, yes, you get energy, like, theoretically, guys, I know it doesn't actually talk to me. Do you think I'm going to go back to that source if it worked for me? Absolutely. But if I try it, it doesn't work, you drop it. Same thing with people saying yes versus no. If I go to someone and I'm like, hey, I'm in a really bad spot, I'm in a bind, can you help me out? And they're like, yes. Do you think I'm going to remember that? Absolutely. So the next time I'm in a bind or a bad spot, who do you think I'm going to go to? Hello. But if you only help people when you can, they don't come to you as much. They know that you mean the word no. They respect the no when they get it. And it makes your life easier too. So, wanted to share that with you. Practice makes perfect. Practice, practice, practice. Please stop putting yourself in a bad spot just because you're afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. They are in charge of their own feelings. They're in charge of the choices. You're not responsible for getting someone out of a bad spot because it's their choices that got them there. If you're able to help them and you're willing to help them, that's one thing. But if you're not really able to, even though you're willing, if you're not really able to, learn the word no. Use it. Use it nicely. If they don't answer, then you can turn on to a fool, asshole, whatever you want to do. I don't care. But use it. Learn it. Love it. Embrace it. No is a beautiful, happy, awesome word. Love it. Bye.